Today we were asked, Rabbi Alex and I were asked to discuss a past of the LGS. And I really wished, I wish a time machine existed, because I wanted to see how it was like in the old building, how it was like with these legendary rabbis that we discussed. How did they sound? What kind of energy was in the room? And it was just very symbolic, because my little Bar Torah is about time travel. And when we discussed previous rabbis, the past rabbis in the synagogue, it really resonated with me. So in science fiction authors and writers really thought about time travel a lot. And in my view, there might be more options of time travel, but there are three schools of thoughts or three theories about the time travel. So the first one, which I would call Harry Potter, because Harry Potter is representative of this one, when the time travel is already a part of your life. So which means, some of you might remember when Harry Potter traveled to the past, he thought that he would see his father, because his father just initiated a special spell, a protection spell on Harry Potter. He thought it was his father until he realized that he wasn't. It was him traveling into the past and helping the past self. And so whatever happens in our life, if you time travel, it will only confirm whatever already happened. So this school of thought says that whatever changes you make, they won't affect anything. The second one is I put it in a category that I call butterfly effect. And this is based on a famous book and a film, and that any small and insignificant change can lead to a very significant and crucial, sometimes catastrophic consequence. The film gives an example that a butterfly flapping its wings can lead to a tornado several weeks later. So that's the butterfly. Every single change can lead to a catastrophic disaster. And the third option about the time travel is Marvel. It comes from Marvel Universe, or I should probably say multiverse now to those who are fans of Marvel. You can make a change in your past, but it's not going to change your life. It will create one more branch of the timeline. So there will be a parallel universe where this change will happen, but it's not going to change anything for you. So it will affect the other version of your world, the alternative timeline, but not yours. So science fiction can inspire human imagination and start great conversation about our destiny, for example. Reality often limits us, and routine and everyday struggles put a stumbling block to our ability to think outside the norms of our society. Therefore, sometimes a good supernatural story, a miracle story, can trigger the best philosophical debate. Questions that some science fiction enthusiasts ask about time travel are important. Is everything predestined? Or can I change this world? Do different life choices lead to different outcomes? Do people have a free will? All these questions are based on this crazy idea of a time travel. Or who knows, maybe it's one day will be real, we don't know. This week's Torah portion, Balak, is full of miracles and supernatural stories. In it, the king of Moab asks his prophet Balaam to curse the Israelites after he sees them defeat various nations in the battle. So he's scared and he would like to defeat them. And he asks his prophet, can you go and curse them, please? But what happens is that when king sends messengers to Balaam to ask to curse the Jewish people, that night God appeared to Balaam and said, "No, don't go with them. You will not curse the Jewish people, for they are blessed," says God. So despite the clear answer, the clear response from God, the king insisted on cursing the Israelites again and again until Balaam had no choice but to go. In the morning, Balaam saddled his donkey and went with Balak's officers towards the camp of the Israelites to curse them, probably. But an angel of God stood in the path to stop him. Balaam didn't see the angel, but Balaam's donkeys saw the angel of God standing with a sword in his hand and turns the other way. So Balaam, without understanding of what's happening with his donkey, he gets angry and hits the donkey again and again. Then the donkey started to speak and said to Balaam, "What have I done to you that you hit me 3 times?" And Balaam answered, "Well, because you acted against me, I would kill you if I had a sword in my hand." But the donkey said, "Am I not your faithful donkey? We've known each other for years, and you always, the donkey that you always ride. Have I ever done this to you before?" When Balaam answers no, he started to see the angel of God standing in the path with his sword. He quickly realized what happened and admitted his mistake. To make a long story short, despite all the signs, despite all God's messages, the king Balak insisted on the curse. And when Balaam saw the Israelites camping, he wanted to say the words of curse, but instead of the words of the curse, he said, "How goodly are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel." Some of you may know this phrase because it sounds in Hebrew, "Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Israel," the prayer that we open many of our services now. So the story has many supernatural or miraculous elements that are worthy of a good science fiction plot. Balaam speaking to God whenever he wants, a talking donkey, an invisible God's angel, intention to say one thing but saying the other thing. So this story started a long and fascinating debate among Torah scholars. In a similar way, how science fiction, how this miraculous science fiction and impossible stories started the philosophical debate among enthusiasts of science fiction. So the Torah scholars argue, how can you live in the world when God can intervene and change the most fundamental laws of nature? If God can do it, how can you explain the evil in this world and all the injustice that's happened? Why does God allow bad things to happen to good people? If miracles can occur at any time, what's a human role in this world? Is there free will? Some scholars, for example, Ramban, Nachmanides, understood the miracles as supernatural phenomena. And they said, if it's written in the Torah, you should believe that it happened. Exactly the same way it happened. If you truly believe in God, he says, you should believe that God can do whatever God wants. And therefore, it is not upon you to judge God. So that's first school of thought. You should believe whatever written in the Torah. In contrast, two other scholars, Rambam, Maimonides, and Ralbag, minimize the supernatural events in the Hebrew Bible. And they suggest that God preserves the supernatural, preserves the nature. And they basically say that whatever miracle happens, it's an exception of the rule, but an exception that's been embedded into the system. So from the beginning, God saw what's going to happen to Balaam and created one speaking donkey. in the world. That's the one speaking donkey in the world, and there will be no other. So that's the school of thought that says, that's extraordinary. There's nothing extraordinary. And some people say that it didn't happen at all in real life. It was a dream. So Balaam saw the speaking donkey in the dream, and therefore nothing supernatural happened at all. But another approach is my favorite. It's the one that belongs to Samuel David Luziato, Shadal, a 19th century Italian Jewish scholar. He said that Balaam's donkey did communicate with his owner, but she did so by making animal sounds rather than human speech. It was not a miracle at all, but Balaam knew his donkey so well and knew his donkey for years and had an experience and natural intuition to understand her. Those of you who have pets can probably relate to it. I mean, when my cat George would like to do something or would like me to do something, I know exactly what she wants. So, and therefore, although she doesn't speak human language, she meows. And the same happens, according to Shadal, to this donkey. The donkey just expressed something, but it wasn't supernatural. So, whatever position you take, the important message of this Torah portion is simple. It's important to keep our imagination active. Let's imagine a person who spent the last 10 years away from other people without access to any news. And let's imagine that you tell this person what happened in the last 10 years. They will probably think you are joking. The pandemic that put the entire world on pause for 2 years, the largest war in Europe since 1945, resignations in the governments, the technological advancement in the world, such as artificial intelligence, and many other new miracles. How many points of this list you could have predicted 10 years ago? Most of them seemed unlikely to many of us. We live in a very quickly changing world. Some of the events and news seemed like supernatural intervention, a miracle, a dream. Whether a good dream or a nightmare, it's a different question, but a dream, something that seemed not unlikely, a science fiction story. Yet, these events happened in the real world. If this is possible, it only means that almost everything is possible. This only means, this is the main reason we should continue to dream more. Imagine the world that seems impossible. Inspire ourselves and others to imagine the unimaginable and believe in the unbelievable. Maybe today our fantasy will seem like an impossible miracle, a science fiction plot, but one day it may come true. Let's keep our imagination active and dream more. The more unbelievable it is, the better the world will be in the future. Shabbat Shalom.